All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tear open the engine room of a modern economy, the manufacturing industry. We'll be using India as our guide to see how raw materials get transformed into the products we use every day, why that process is so vital for a country's wealth, and, well, what price we pay for all this progress. So let's start with a scene you can probably picture. A crazy busy market during Diwali. There's a boy named Harish, and he's just surrounded by stuff. Shoes, clothes, lamps. And seeing it all, it sparks this question in his mind. A really simple one, but one that gets to the very heart of our modern world. And the answer to his question? It's the magic of manufacturing. It's this whole process that takes raw materials, like, say, wood from a forest, and turns it into the pages of a book, or sugarcane from a field into the sugar in your coffee. Basically, you're taking something simple and making it way more valuable. Okay, so how does this whole journey actually happen? From a raw material all the way to a finished product sitting in a market? Where does this transformation take place? Well, it all goes down in what economists call the secondary sector. Just think of it as moving from primary activities, like farming or mining, right into the factory. This is where raw cotton gets woven into the shirt you're wearing, where steel is shaped into cars, and where flour becomes bread. It's where the stuff of our daily lives is actually created. So why should we care? Why is this whole process so incredibly important for a country's development and for its people? It's a pretty powerful idea, right? You can pretty much measure a country's economic strength by how good it is at making stuff. A developed manufacturing sector isn't just a sign of industrial power, it's really the foundation for a prosperous nation. Okay, so let's really dig into why manufacturing is called the backbone of development. It does so much more than just make things. It creates jobs, which helps pull people out of poverty. It supports farming by building modern equipment. Through exports, it brings in that all-important foreign cash. But maybe the most important part is that it transforms low-value raw materials into high-value goods. And that, right there, is a key engine for creating wealth. And this slide just shows it perfectly. Agriculture and industry, they're not in separate boxes. They go hand in hand. It's like a partnership. Industry gives farmers things like irrigation pumps and fertilizers, making them more productive. And in return, agriculture gives the factories the raw materials they need to run. They truly need each other to thrive. Right. Let's switch gears a bit. We're talking about this huge world of different factories and production lines. How on earth do we even begin to classify them all? This table is actually a fantastic little cheat sheet for understanding any industry. You can classify them by asking just a few simple questions like, what's it made from? Is it something grown, like cotton? Or is it dug out of the ground, like iron ore? Or what's its main job? Is it a basic industry that makes stuff for other industries? Or is it a consumer industry that makes something you and I buy, like toothpaste? This framework helps make sense of the whole landscape. Okay, to make all this a bit more real, let's actually peek inside a couple of major industries that are just fundamental to India's economy, one based on what you grow and one based on what you dig up. So right here, you can see the two big categories side by side. On one hand, you've got agro-based industries. Think cotton, sugar. They start with stuff from a farm. On the other hand, you have mineral-based industries, like iron and steel, which start with minerals and metals. One grows from the soil, the other is forged from the earth. And this brings us to a really, really crucial idea. The iron and steel industry is what's known as a basic or key industry. Why is that? Well, think about it. Pretty much every other industry needs it. You can't build cars, you can't build skyscrapers, you can't even make the machines that go into other factories without steel. It is, quite literally, the foundation of modern industry. So how do you actually make steel? Well, it all starts with this very specific recipe of raw materials: iron ore, coking coal, and limestone. First, you melt them all down in a massive blast furnace. Then you purify that molten iron and add some alloys to make it tough. And finally, you shape it into all the beams, sheets, and parts that build our modern world. It's a huge, energy-hungry process from start to finish. But steel isn't the only star of the show. You've also got aluminum, which is the second most important metal out there. It's super light, it's strong, and it doesn't rust easily. And because of those awesome properties, it's become this go-to substitute for things like steel and copper in everything from airplanes to the pans in your kitchen. Okay, but, and this is a big but, all of this incredible industrial growth, this engine of prosperity, it doesn't come for free. Nope. There's a pretty big environmental price tag attached, one we really can't ignore anymore. You see, while these industries are amazing for the economy, they also generate four main kinds of pollution. You've got air pollution from smoke and gases, water pollution from industrial waste, land degradation from all the stuff they dump, and of course, noise pollution from all that machinery. Each one is a serious threat to our health and the planet. Now, I want you to just look at this number. Just 8. It seems simple, right? But what it represents? Well, it has a staggering impact on our most vital resource, fresh water. So what does it mean? Get this. For every single liter of wastewater that an industry pumps out, it pollutes 8 times that amount of fresh water. That is just a massive ripple effect. And it's exactly why tackling industrial water pollution is so critical. Now, the good news here is that we actually know how to fix this. We have the technology. Treating this wastewater is a pretty clear 3-step process. You start with basic mechanical filtering. Then you move on to using biological processes to get rid of impurities. And finally, you have these advanced treatments that can actually clean the water so well that you can recycle and reuse it. And really, this brings us to the core challenge of our time, not just for India, but for the entire planet. It all comes down to this idea of sustainable development. How do we keep that economic engine running? How do we grow and create prosperity without completely wrecking the very environment that we all depend on? And that, right there, is the big question we're all left with. Can economic growth and a healthy environment really go hand in hand? Finding a way to make the answer a definite yes, well, that's going to define the future of industry, our economies, and, frankly, our planet. Thanks for tuning in.